One U.S. Marine battalion versus the entire Roman Empire at its peak. 800 modern soldiers with rifles, artillery, and air support against 450,000 Roman legionaries with swords, shields, and discipline that conquered the known world. It would be a massacre, and Rome wouldn't stand a chance. But here's what makes this scenario more interesting than you think. The technology gap is so extreme that a single Marine company, 150 soldiers, could probably defeat the entire Roman army in open battle. The Romans wouldn't even understand what was killing them. This isn't about bravery or tactics. This is about what happens when 2,000 years of military technology meets ancient warfare. Let me show you exactly how this would play out. Picture this. A Roman legion of 5,000 soldiers in their famous testudo formation advances across an open field. Shields locked, disciplined ranks, battle-hardened veterans who've conquered Gaul and Britain. They're 2,000 meters away. They can't even see the enemy yet. Then the artillery opens up. A single M777 howitzer fires a 155 high-explosive shell. Flight time: 30 seconds. The shell lands in the center of the Roman formation and detonates. The explosion creates a kill radius of 50 meters. Shrapnel tears through bronze armor like paper. 200 Romans die instantly. Another 300 are wounded, screaming, bleeding, limbs missing. The survivors have no idea what just happened. There was no warning, no incoming army, just sudden, incomprehensible death from the sky. The Romans regroup and continue advancing. They're brave. They've faced worse. They think this is some form of siege weapon. They're wrong. At 1,000 meters, Marine snipers open fire, while 40A6 sniper rifles with 10x scopes. One shot, one kill. Roman officers, identified by their distinctive crests and armor, start dropping. Headshots from distances the Romans can't comprehend. They still can't see the enemy. Their commanders are dying from invisible attacks. Panic starts spreading through the ranks. At 800 meters, the machine guns start. MUN 240B machine guns firing 7.6, 2 rounds at 950 rounds per minute. Each gun can engage targets effectively at 1,800 meters. The Romans are well within range. A single machine gun can kill 15-20 men per minute at this distance. The Marines have dozens. The Roman shields, designed to stop arrows and spears, are useless against bullets traveling at 2,800 feet per second. The Romans break formation and charge. It's their only option. Stay still and die, or close distance and engage in hand-to-hand combat where their training and numbers might matter. They're disciplined. They've trained for this. They start running toward the enemy position they still can't clearly see. At 300 meters, every Marine opens fire, emitting 4 carbines on fully automatic. 30-round magazines emptied in seconds, reloaded in 2 seconds, emptied again. 800 Marines firing means 24,000 rounds in the first 30 seconds. The Romans are running into a literal wall of bullets. Men are falling by the hundreds. The survivors stumble over the bodies. The charge collapses. The entire engagement lasts 8 minutes. 5,000 Romans dead or dying. 0 Marines casualties. The Romans never got within 200 meters. They never landed a single blow. They didn't even understand what killed them, just loud noises and death. And that's just one legion in open terrain. Now imagine this scenario repeated across the entire Roman Empire. We haven't even talked about aircraft yet. A single A-10 Warthog flying close air support carries a 30 GAU-8 Avenger cannon that fires 3,900 rounds per minute. Each round is the size of a beer bottle and can penetrate tank armor. Against Roman soldiers in bronze and leather, it's like shooting paper targets. The pilot spots a Roman column marching on a road, 10,000 men stretched over a mile. One gun run, 10 seconds of fire, 650 rounds into the formation. 500 nidus, 800 casualties. The pilot circles and makes another pass, and another. The Romans can't fight back. They have no anti-aircraft weapons. They can't reach an aircraft flying at 10,000 feet. They can't even run fast enough to escape the plane's engagement range. They can only die. The A-10 has 1,174 rounds total. That's enough to strafe a Roman column multiple times before returning to base to rearm. One aircraft could kill 3,000 might have 5,000 Romans in a single sortie. But the real nightmare for Rome is the Apache helicopter. An AH-64 Apache carries 16 Hellfire missiles and 1,200 rounds of 30mm ammunition. Each Hellfire missile has a blast radius that can kill 30-50 tightly packed soldiers. That's 480, 800 casualties just from missiles. The 30mm chain gun adds another one, 000 plus kills per sortie. A single Apache could eliminate an entire legion, 5,000 men, in about 30 minutes of engagement time. And the Romans would have absolutely no tactical response. They're bred for ground combat, cavalry charges, infantry formations, shield walls. Every tactic in their playbook is useless against aircraft. They'd try shooting arrows, which can't reach high enough and wouldn't damage the aircraft if they did. They'd try hiding in forests. Thermal imaging spots them anyway. They'd try night operations. Night vision makes it irrelevant. Here's the math that destroys Rome. The U.S. military has 1,159 helicopters and 2,085 fighter aircraft currently deployed. Each aircraft can fly multiple sorties per day, even assuming very conservative numbers, one sortie per day, 2,000 casualties per sortie. That's 6.5 million Roman casualties per day. The entire Roman military at peak strength was 450,000 soldiers. They'd be completely annihilated in 72 hours of sustained air operations. And the Romans would never even see what killed them. Missiles launched from 8 kilometers away. Bombs dropped from 30,000 feet. Drones circling at altitudes they can't perceive. Unstoppable, incomprehensible, constant. The psychological impact would shatter Roman morale before the actual casualties defeated them militarily. But here's what makes this even more unfair. The U.S. military would see everything. Rome's entire strategy depended on reconnaissance, surprise, and maneuver. Caesar conquered Gaul through superior intelligence and unexpected movements. Roman armies succeeded because they knew where enemies were, and enemies didn't know where they were. That entire advantage vanishes against modern surveillance. Satellite reconnaissance sees the entire Roman Empire 24/7. Every legion's position, every supply convoy, every fortification, every movement. The Romans can't hide army movements from satellites that can read license plates from orbit. Before the first battle, U.S. commanders would have complete maps of every Roman military asset across the entire Mediterranean. Drone surveillance provides real-time tactical intelligence. A Reaper drone can orbit over a Roman army for 14 hours straight, streaming HD video of their formations, movements, and command structure. The Romans are planning tactics based on what they can see from horseback. The Marines are watching them from 20,000 feet with infrared cameras that work in total darkness. The Romans march during the day because night operations are dangerous without electric lights. U.S. Marines operate primarily at night using night vision goggles. Romans march in columns on roads because moving large formations cross-country is difficult. Drones spot every column the moment it leaves camp. Romans send scouts ahead to find enemy positions. U.S. forces already know every Roman position before the Romans even decide to move. But here's the brutal strategic reality this creates. The U.S. military could destroy Rome's entire army without the Romans ever choosing when or where to fight. Every time a Roman legion assembles, aircraft bomb them, artillery strikes them. Every time they make camp, missiles hit them overnight. The Romans never get to use their tactical sophistication because they never get to choose the engagement. The battle happens when and where the U.S. military decides, and the Romans can't do anything about it. This is what modern warfare actually is. The side with better intelligence decides when and where battles happen. The side without intelligence just reacts to attacks. They can't anticipate or prevent. Rome would be playing a game where their opponent sees every move before they make it and strikes when they're most vulnerable. There's no tactical genius that overcomes that disadvantage. Rome's greatest strength wasn't just their legions, it was their logistics. Roman roads, supply chains stretching across Europe, the ability to feed and equip armies for months-long campaigns. This infrastructure made the empire possible. Against modern military power, it becomes their greatest vulnerability. Supply wagons travel at walking speed on predictable routes. Apache helicopters wait along supply lines and destroy every convoy. One Hellfire missile eliminates 20 Navia 30 supply carts, the oxen pulling them, and the soldiers guarding them. Rome's armies need constant resupply, food, water, weapons, armor repair. Fresh soldiers cut the supply lines and legions become stranded, under-equipped, and starving. The U.S. military would target logistics systematically. Satellites identify major supply depots. Bombers destroy them with J-dams, guided bombs accurate to within 13 feet. Roman grain stores burn. Armories explode. The infrastructure that keeps 450,000 soldiers fed and equipped across the empire collapses in days. But here's the strategic genius of this approach. You don't even have to fight the legions. Just destroy their supplies and wait. A Roman legion needs 7 tons of grain per day to stay fed. Cut supply lines, and within a week, they're starving. They're deserting. Within 3 weeks, they're combat ineffective. You defeat the entire Roman military without engaging them directly. Meanwhile, the U.S. military operates from bases that Romans can't touch. Aircraft carriers 100 miles offshore launching strikes the Romans can't see or counter. Forward operating bases defended by artillery that can strike targets 30 kilometers away, well beyond Roman siege weapons' 300-meter range. Supply chains running from the U.S. to the battlefield via cargo aircraft that fly at 40,000 feet. The Romans could march their entire army toward a marine battalion and never reach it. Every step would be through artillery bombardment. Every road would be mined. Every approach would be covered by machine guns and air support. The Marines could retreat faster than Romans could advance and call in airstrikes on the pursuing force. The Romans would chase them across Italy while being systematically destroyed from the air, never closing to combat range. Roman military success came from discipline, formations, and close combat superiority. The testudo, shields locked overhead and in front, made legions nearly invulnerable to arrows and javelins. The triple aces formation, 3 lines of infantry with gaps for rotation, let fresh troops replace exhausted ones. Roman soldiers trained for years to fight in tight formation with gladius and pilum. These tactics dominated ancient warfare for 500 years. Every single one is worthless against modern weapons. The testudo makes legions into a dense target. A single artillery shell landing in the formation kills 5,100 men because they're packed together. The tight formation that protected against arrows makes them easier to kill with explosives. Their greatest defensive tactic is a liability. Roman discipline soldiers holding formation under fire becomes a death sentence. Ancient armies broke because soldiers panicked and ran. Roman legions stood their ground because running left you vulnerable to cavalry and archers. Against machine gun fire, standing your ground means you die 30 seconds slower than if you ran. Discipline doesn't matter when the enemy can kill your entire formation before you get within 500 meters. Roman close combat training is irrelevant when they can't reach close combat. A legionary with a gladius is one of the most effective hand-to-hand fighters in ancient history. But hand-to-hand combat requires actually reaching the enemy. Against weapons that kill at 800+ meters, gladius training doesn't matter. It's like being the world's best archer in a gunfight. And here's the tactical lesson Rome would never learn because they'd all be dead. Modern infantry doesn't fight in formations. They used dispersion, cover, and suppressive fire. Romans would see scattered soldiers instead of organized formations and think the enemy is disorganized. Those disorganized soldiers are in mutually supporting positions with overlapping fields of fire. Romans trained to fight against organized formations would have no tactical response to infantry that doesn't mass together as targets. Okay, so Rome loses every conventional battle in hours. Could they adapt? Fight a guerrilla war? Use their knowledge of local terrain and population to make occupation impossible? This is what insurgencies do when you can't win conventional battles. You fight an asymmetric war. The Romans would try small unit raids, ambushes, attacking supply lines, hit and run. It's smart strategy when facing overwhelming conventional military power. But here's why it still wouldn't work. Modern counterinsurgency technology makes guerrilla warfare almost impossible. Every Roman attack gets traced back to its origin. Drones follow fleeing soldiers to their camp. Thermal imaging spots hidden ambush positions. Radio intercepts identify planning meetings. The Romans can't communicate securely. They don't have encryption. Every messenger is a vulnerability. Every meeting a target. The Romans attack a supply convoy at night, kill the guards, and flee. Seems like a successful raid. Except three things happen. Drones track them to their hiding position. Artillery strikes that position 30 minutes later. And the next convoy has a patchy escort that spots the ambush 3 kilometers away and destroys it with missiles before Romans get close. The population can't support an insurgency against an occupier with this surveillance advantage. Villages hiding Roman soldiers get identified by drone surveillance, noticing increased foot traffic or supply movements. Buildings storing weapons get spotted by infrared cameras detecting heat signatures. Romans can't blend into crowds when occupying forces have biometric databases, facial recognition, and DNA analysis. But here's the strategic reality that ends any insurgency. The U.S. military doesn't need to occupy Rome to win. They can destroy Roman military power from the air, destroy infrastructure, and leave. No occupation means no insurgency. Rome gets defeated, not conquered. The empire collapses because it can't defend itself, not because foreign troops hold every city. So here's the timeline for total Roman defeat. Week 1. Satellite reconnaissance maps every Roman military asset. Airstrikes destroy major supply depots, armories, and grain stores across the empire. Roman logistics collapse. Apache helicopters hunt supply convoys on roads. Legion supply lines are cut. Week 2. Roman legions, now low on supplies, attempt to concentrate forces for defense. Bombers destroy assembled formations with JDAMs. Legions that disperse get hunted by drones and helicopters. Legions that concentrate get bombed. There's no winning move. Week 3. Starving, demoralized Roman forces attempt to surrender. Total U.S. military casualties, maybe a dozen, mostly from accidents or friendly fire. The Romans never kill a single American in combat because they never get close enough to fight. That's what 2,000 years of military technology evolution means. A single Marine battalion with modern weapons could defeat the largest empire in ancient history in a month. Not through bravery or tactics or superior training, through technology so advanced the Romans would think it's magic. The Roman Empire conquered the known world through discipline, logistics, and military innovation that was 500 years ahead of their enemies. Against 2,000 years of technological advancement, all of that becomes irrelevant. They'd lose so badly, they wouldn't even understand how they lost. One Marine battalion, 800 soldiers versus the entire Roman Empire. And it's not even close.